we're not only creating this device here in Alabama, but we want to produce it here.
We know that we can do the work with students, we just need more time.
You just got to get up and believe that you can grind it out and keep grinding.
Don't believe you have to go outside of this community or this state to launch your idea, because you've got the expertise here. Come to Hardware Park.
Hey guys, my name is Harper Harwell. I'm a reporter for the Birmingham Business Journal. I'm here to talk about the economic impact of medical device development in Birmingham and the broader state of Alabama. With me I have Ben Fulmer, co-founder and CEO of Fulmer Instruments, Lloyd Cooper, principal of Push Product Design, Greg Canfield, former Secretary of Commerce for the state of Alabama, and Mark Connor, Executive Director at Hardware Park. Thank y'all for joining me today. Now, Ben and Lloyd, y'all have worked together for what y'all said is 9 years on Fulmer Instruments. So kind of walk me through what the company is and kind of the development process for what y'all are building.
Well, I'm a neurosurgeon. I've been in practice here in Birmingham since 2000. And they're just two devices that have been been used for about 100 years that are called a bipolar and a monopolar cautery. They're used to stop bleeding in the OR, as well as to do some dissection in the OR. And they're used in just about every surgical case, but they have a cord that you throw off the end of the bed from a sterile field. You kind of throw these cords off, and the circulating nurse catches them and plugs them into this big amplifier that's about the size of a suitcase. And they use radio frequency current to do these tasks, and we use them all the time. And I just had thought for years, could we make these cordless? So the idea was very simple. I got up with Lloyd, who's an industrial designer with a company called Push Product Design, and he and I started talking about it probably, 9 or 10 years ago. And Lloyd said, well, hey, I know this incredible electrical engineer named Gene Amy. And so Lloyd talked to Gene, and Gene got an idea of what the electronics were. And we said, is this doable? And Gene's a very smart guy, been a contract electrical engineer for a long time, and he said, I think we can do that. And so we sort of started a company that we were the three founders and took off with it and kind of cut Gene loose to see what he could do. So is that about right, Lloyd?
Yeah, pretty accurate.
What were kind of the first steps? You have this idea and you have to turn it into a physical prototype. What were those steps like? What were kind of the lows and highs of that building and developing process?
Well, so Ben didn't realize that when I first reached out to Gene to see if we could, he thought that he could technically solve the problem. Gene didn't have any idea how to solve it because nobody had done it.
I just found that out.
Nobody had done this before because basically it involved, it has been alluded to, putting a lot of electronics into a very small package. The lows were, I guess, but also the challenge were figuring out how to very creatively approach the problem from a different kind of lens, kind of suspending disbelief and doing trials and experimentation to see if we could build what we call a minimal viable product, an initially operatable device. And so that's been kind of part of the challenge, but part of the fun over the years. And so as the project continued, we made more and more sophisticated prototypes and then showed them to Ben to test them to see if they performed like he was accustomed to with the main devices that he uses in the OR, and then bringing in other surgeons to try it as well. And then the most enjoyable thing for me is to be able to put a prototype in somebody's hands and then watch their expression, to see if they really like it.
It's also, I remember when I first met you, Ben, and my recollection is you were really kind of working toward that first prototype and having that workable prototype designed and sort of perfected. One of the things that really struck me was just the visual of how that operating theater looked with all of the cords. And so I would imagine that has to be, not only do you have the benefit of the more ergonomic design of the new device itself, but you don't have to worry about where the cords are, and you don't have to worry about some of the infection potentially that comes from those cords, right?
That's right. But those are the two main issues. You wouldn't believe just how tangled up all these things get. We'll have a bipolar or monopolar, maybe 2 suction tubings and a drill. And as the case goes on and you grab this thing and it gets on top of that, I mean, it becomes just this warren of pulling on stuff, and things get pulled on you. It's surprising, and so there's safety issues there. But yeah, you're throwing this thing from a sterile, truly sterile field to a non-sterile field, and there's kind of this gray zone at the end of the bed where, you know, where does infection, where does sterility start and sterility stop? And Scott Cochran, who's on our team, who's in the OR with us a lot, I think we asked 12 people, just like where does sterility stop, where does it start? And I think we got 12 different answers. So yeah, and the cords will fall off a little bit, and you wonder if it's too low for sterility and those types of things. So those are the two main concerns. Yeah.